What's for dinner? How do I look? I'm sweating. I'm nervous. I don't normally get this personal. All right, we're ready? All right. Hey everyone, I'm Chef Z and welcome back to my channel, Chef Z Cooks. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is a completely different type of video, and it's a video that I felt was super important to make as I'm finally ready to just get a whole lot of personal and open up, especially about something that affects so many women of color. Now, a lot of you, I think none of you actually know that fibroids are actually a huge part of my life and have been for some time, and it affects so much of what I do. So kicking things off, at the very end of 2018, I was freshly engaged. Like, we're talking like days. I wasn't even used to still saying like, hey guys, this is my fiance, when I found out that my fibroids were growing back. Yes, because once upon a time I had fibroids. I thought I had them under control, and then they started coming back with a vengeance, and it completely just altered my 2019. It definitely just changed the year for me. I had my high points and I had my low points. But before we get started on the 2019 and what happened last year and how it affected me and ultimately my channel, I feel like it's really important for me to actually take it back to the very beginning and talk about the first time I had fibroids, because what a lot of you guys don't know is that I actually owe my channel, my business, even my relationship with my fiance to my first struggle situation, if you will, with fibroids. So a couple of years ago, also real quick, I also want to say that I hope you guys do find this video helpful if you yourself are struggling with fibroids, or if you know someone who is. Just know that I am not a doctor. These are my personal experiences, and everything that I am doing and have done were what I felt were in my best interest. Now, let me kind of run it back because I feel like I'm all over the place. What are fibroids? Fibroids are essentially these, for the most part, these non-cancerous, benign tumors that grow in a woman's uterus. And they grow in a variety of sizes and in different places. Now, most women don't show any symptoms of having fibroids, and that's fine. And if you're one of those people, congrats. Well, not congrats, because fibroids suck. But if you're one of those people, then oh my God, you're fine. I, unfortunately, was not one of those people. So what really makes fibroids just very tricky to deal with, live with, treat is their size and location. Again, I'm no doctor, but I would argue that where they're located sometimes matters more than how big they are. Spoiler alert, mine were located in probably one of the worst possible places that they could be located, despite not being that big. So, okay, back to my story. So the first time that I had actually got diagnosed with fibroids was actually a few years ago, before I was Chef Z here on the internet and here on YouTube. I was living my life working in corporate America. I was literally living my best life. I was training to be in a fitness competition. I was enjoying my job. I was actually looking to make really big career moves when one day to the next, my doctor told me that I had fibroids. Now, it wasn't like it was one day to the next. I knew something was wrong. I knew something was severely wrong because, again, we're going to get super personal. My periods were the worst thing in the world to deal with. They were extremely painful, very heavy, and they affected my day-to-day. I would actually get so scared for when I knew that time of the month was coming, because I knew it was going to be excruciatingly painful, super uncomfortable to deal with. In fact, it was so bad that I couldn't even commute from my apartment to my job without an accident or a situation. I couldn't even make it through a whole work day without having to call out sick or leave home early because the pain was that bad. And I was taking ibuprofen and painkillers, everything that you can imagine for the pain. I was doing the heating pads and nothing worked. And it was getting to a point where I was taking so many painkillers that it was actually affecting my stomach lining, because you can only take but so many within a certain time period. So again, I don't want to say it was like, oh, it came out of the blue. It's just at the time I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what was wrong. And I didn't know that fibroids were a thing until I started going to my doctor, who is an angel. I love him. He's amazing. And after a few tests, he said, listen, you have fibroids and we have to do some emergency surgery, because on top of just dealing with the period from absolute hell, I was also severely anemic from all of the blood loss that I was experiencing every month. And that's where I felt like the rug had been pulled from underneath me, because number one, it was like you're getting so much new information. I had never had major surgery. And then it was like, we need to get going. We need to, like, we need to suit you up, and we got to put you under the knife, and we got to take care of this before it gets worse. And for some context, I was fairly young. I think I was like 25. And for me, one of the worst parts about my situation was that I had just met my boyfriend, who is now my fiance, and we were not ready for kids. We weren't even thinking about kids. We were just really enjoying each other. And because of where my fibroids were located, it actually was going to affect my ability to one day have children. And so fast forward, I end up having the myomectomy. And a myomectomy is the surgery that you have to remove the fibroids. And again, I was fairly young, and I had to make the very difficult decision to have a surgery that did not fully remove my fibroids, because if I had removed all of the fibroids, I had more than one. If I had removed all of the fibroids completely, it would have completely damaged and taken away my ability to bear children. And I knew that while I was not ready to have kids, I'm still not ready. Well, I knew that while I was not ready to have kids, I still wanted the chance to one day have children. And so I made the very difficult decision to leave one of the fibroids, just shave it down a little bit, but to leave one of them there, remove all the other ones completely, and hope that one day I'll be able to have kids and, everything will be fine and blah, 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 blah. Now, everyone is different. If you know somebody with fibroids, or if you yourself have fibroids, your situation is unique to you the way mine is unique to mine. When you have a myomectomy, it's not a cure-all. There's no guarantee that the fibroids will be done forever. And there's a chance that they may actually grow back. In fact, it's something like 50-50. There's a 50% chance that the fibroids may actually grow back. There's an airplane passing by. Hold on.
2,000 years later.
So anyways, there is a 50-50 chance that the fibroids may grow back. And a few years passed, and what do you know? I was on the other half of 50-50 where my fibroids actually grew back. And it was devastating. I'm not gonna lie. But, we're dealing with it, and I'm gonna go into that a little bit more later in the video. So I have my myomectomy, and I'm actually recovering from surgery, and I've hinted at this in other videos, and the fact that I became very ill and my channel was born from that. Well, my fiance and I, we actually started this YouTube channel when I was recovering from that surgery. And because of how I had to have the surgery, it was actually this similar surgery, not similar, but the recovery was similar to a woman who had just had a C-section. So I was actually off my feet for some time, and I used that time to launch this passion project because while I was doing really well in my career, that experience really just shifted the way I thought about things, and I realized that I wasn't 100% happy, and I decided to just stop waiting and just go for it, and all of this was born. So when I tell you that fibroids have been a major part of my life and my channel in more ways than I realized initially, it is truly, truly fascinating to me. Okay, so now fast forward. End of 2018, December as a matter of fact. And I want to say, I think I found out on like New Year's Eve that my fibroids were growing back. And oh my God, I was devastated. I was happy that I was able to catch it a lot sooner this time. So it wasn't a situation where it was like, listen, you got to go and we have to have this emergency surgery and, you know, what have you. The first time, everything happened so quickly, I feel like I didn't really have a chance to look at what my different options were. I didn't really have a chance to connect with other women who had been through something similar. It was go time. Honestly, that's what it was the first time. The second time around, I was shocked. I was shocked because I didn't have any of the same symptoms I had the first time. That surgery saved my life. Like, it gave me back my life, to be real, because my period now, TMI, is so manageable. So manageable. It is nothing compared to what it was before. Yeah, do I still get cramps? Of course, that's normal. You know, like, does it come every month? Yeah, of course, that's also normal. But, you know, I take an ibuprofen every now and then because now the pain is so manageable that I don't always have to take a painkiller. Sometimes, you know, drinking tea and putting a heating pad is enough. And that is how vastly different my life is before and after the myomectomy. I know there's chitter chatter out there amongst the fibroid community whether or not to have the surgery. For me, it changed my life. If you are somebody who is thinking about it, that is only a decision that you can make along with your doctor. But again, this is just my experience. So this time around, again, my periods are fine. Like, I'm not experiencing any of the same symptoms from before. So I really thought, I knew there was a 50-50 chance. It had been a couple of years at this point, and I seriously thought I was in the clear. So to hear that they were growing back and that they were growing back with a vengeance, and that, again, they were located in not ideal places, it made me sad, to say the least. It definitely just, it wasn't what I wanted to hear. It really, really wasn't what I wanted to hear. And I decided at that point that I was going to make some major lifestyle changes because I did not want to have a second surgery unless it was absolutely necessary. Again, guys, I cannot stress, I am not a doctor. This is what works for me. I don't know that this will be working for you. I'm not telling you do this, but I'm just sharing my story. So I decided at the very, very beginning of 2019 that I was going to completely change my lifestyle. I was going to start working out again because one of the biggest things I stopped doing after my surgery was working out. Like, I was a gym rat, and then all of a sudden it was like, gym what? No. So I started working out again, and one of the biggest changes that I made was actually in food. And this was one of those changes that a few of you have actually picked up on. So I follow a very strict hormone-free diet. I make sure that all the chicken that I get is free range, that it is hormone-free, antibiotic-free. The eggs that I buy are pasture-raised. The fish that I get is wild-caught. And these are things that you guys have seen me mention throughout the year in my videos. And all of that comes from the fact that I have been very, very conscious and very strict and diligent about what I put into my body. Now, one of the biggest changes that I also made to my diet was that I stopped eating red meat. I know, right? Crazy. As a Hispanic, like, what? Like, you don't eat red meat? We'll get to that. Initially, I was like, no red meat, because I had done my research and it just seemed like, you know, red meat was just not really the best thing for a woman and for fibroids and a whole bunch of stuff. So I gave it up cold turkey from one day to the next. And if you know me, you know I love my red meat. So I gave it up, started eating a bunch of cruciferous vegetables, like, again, nice and dandy. And fast forward, I got super, super, super sick. In fact, I got so sick that I was in and out of the hospital for a couple of days, couple of months, and I didn't really know what was wrong. And what was wrong was that I thought I was severely anemic before. Oh no. I became dangerously anemic when I gave up red meat entirely. And it wasn't until my doctors realized, because they didn't know, because I wasn't like, I was sick. I wasn't like, hey guys, I don't eat red meat. But it wasn't until we all put the pieces together and we realized that the very same lifestyle changes I had made and my decision to not eat red meat at all was actually making me sick. I wasn't getting the iron from anywhere else. And again, it was just my iron levels were just dangerously low. I knew that I needed to make a lifestyle change again and figure out a way where I could have red meat, just not all the time. Now, I will say, when I made these changes, I seriously felt so much better. Like, my skin got better, everything. I started losing weight. That probably has to do with the fact that I was working out. But point is, I really, really started to feel a lot better. And suddenly, I spent the first half of 2019 sick, and the second half learning how to balance everything out. And I finally got to a place at the end of the year where I was looking back and I was like, man, 2019 was crazy. It was really a year that I had to listen to my body and put forth changes. And I thought I did a really good job keeping it private and keeping it secret. And when I was looking back at my channel and looking back at the blog and everything, I just was not happy. I'll be honest, 2019, I was not consistent. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that, like, I was sick. But in my head, I'm like, I'll have a stretch where I'm putting out videos week after week after week for like 2 months, and then I'll go dark for another 2 months. But then I'll just like pick back up as though nothing happened, because I didn't want to say what was actually going on. And the other biggest thing was that when I looked back on my channel, there were only 2 beef videos the whole entire year. And I was like, ooh, that's not okay. Newsflash, moving forward, I eat red meat. I just don't eat it all the time. I eat it on special occasions. I try to eat it quarterly, so every 3 to 4 months. I don't have it every week. I don't have it every month. But again, I do eat red meat now, and red meat has a place here on my channel and always will. But I just want you guys to kind of understand where some of these changes are coming from and why they are happening. I feel so good now. I feel so great. I'm really excited about sharing a lot of the recipes that I've been working on for like the past 6 months, and really breathing new life into 2020. I will say, having fibroids has been a very lonely journey, when it shouldn't be, because this is something that seriously affects a lot of women of color, women who look like me, who are in my community, and we don't talk about it. So if you want to share your story, if you want to connect, feel free to DM me on Instagram or comment down below, shoot me an email. If you have any questions, again, I am not a doctor. I really want to stress that. Again, shoot me a comment. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video, kind of like a Q&A about fibroids. We'll see how I feel about that. In short, I am living with fibroids and it will affect my ability to have children in the future. That's not a conversation that at this moment I'm ready to have, only because, girl, I'm trying to get married first and enjoy this wedding. And, you know, my fertility journey will be that, and that'll be its own separate thing in time when I'm ready to discuss it. But as far as everything else, I'm happy to connect with you guys. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys had an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to join the Chef Z family. And until next time, I'm Chef Z y buen provecho.